Okay, Jack Roush is kind enough to come in and spend a few minutes with us. And before I get into the racing end of it, Jack, I want to welcome you back to your home state. And certainly Berea College, I understand, is going to honor you, I believe, tomorrow. Distinguished alumni from Berea College, Jack Roush, and I know that's a big honor, and congratulations on that coming up. But certainly this week you had some news coming out of your race organization, and tell us about that, and maybe take a few questions.
I will. I want to say a couple of things about Kentucky. I was born just up the road here at Louisville, or rather in Covington, just south of Cincinnati, and probably within a stone's throw where most of you landed if you landed into Covington. And I spent my life, in and around Cincinnati and the southern Ohio, northern Kentucky regions that are close by. So it is coming home for me. When I was going through school, or going through high school, the only racetracks that we had were in central and southern Kentucky and around Cincinnati, which was about 60 miles from my home. So I never actually went to a racetrack until I was 18 years old and senior in high school, and I took my car up to Raven Rock at airport at Portsmouth and watched the other guys race their cars. I didn't even race my car. So I was through college in Berea before I went to my first big track, which was Michigan, after I went to work for Ford. So this is home for me, and I have a lot of relatives here and a lot of folks that think they know me or that remember me, whose names I have trouble recalling, so that's going to be a challenge for me. On the matter of what's happened in the last week here with my race team, 17 team, like many of you, I'm wondering what Jack's going to say today. I'll give you a couple of opening comments. First and foremost, I've enjoyed the 15 years with Matt and the success that he's had and the growth that has occurred to the team through his time as a driver. He's like Mark Martin and Greg and Carl. He's a cornerstone of what we do, and his DNA is all over the things that we're known for in our success. I will say that I was as surprised as most of you must have been when I learned that he would not be signing with us to go forward. It was a surprise. I had no idea that we were at that point. And I won't comment on the negotiations, on any negotiations that might have occurred, because we have an agreement not to talk about that. It creates his leaving the team creates a window, a hole, if you like, that we've got very capable, able, ready, enthusiastic, motivated, ambitious drivers. Actually, two of them ready to fill voids. One is Ricky Stenhouse, and of course the other is Trevor. And it's likely that Trevor will have, the plan certainly is for Trevor to be in some kind of a full-time ride next year. And of course, Ricky is the heir apparent to the 17 program. There is not an understanding or an impression that Robbie Reiser has, that I have, that there's going to be a mass exodus. The key people are very committed to what we're doing. We're very committed to winning a championship for our sponsors and for our fans and for all the employees that stand behind our programs with the 17 this year, if it works out that he has that opportunity. And there'll be no diminished effort to make the very most of what time we have together left. I would make a comment and say that, Mark Martin, when I chose Mark Martin in 1988, he didn't have a place in the NASCAR Drivers League. When we made a place for Matt Kenseth, he was struggling to hang on to a nationwide ride with Robbie Reiser as his team owner. Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards. We've had a lot of success with young drivers that were not established and have not made it our habit to go out and try to court somebody else's driver to see if we could improve our prospects by gaining somebody else's loss. There was not. This is a challenging time for sponsorships. You know, it's tough for everybody. You find that there's hardly a car in the garage that runs one sponsor with a kind of a singular support appearance that we had in the 80s and 90s. It is a reality that it takes multiple sponsors to make most of these programs work. And but it was the case that we did run Jeff Burton for a period of time when I had no sponsor for him. We ran Carl for a period of time when I had no sponsor for him. We did the same for Kurt Busch. And there was no predisposition that we were limited for what we would do with Matt going forward based on the sponsorships that were there. We've had very much encouraging conversations with all the sponsors around the 17 team, as well as around all the other programs that we've sought sponsorships for. And we think that we've seen the bottom of the well as far as the shortage of sponsors. Certainly there was not a sponsorship reason why that Matt's future with Roush Fenway was in doubt before or during negotiations.
All right, we'll take a few questions. We'll start here with Claire, and then we'll go to Mark. Go ahead, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Jack, on Jack's Garage, you told me that the last contract that after you got it done, you said jokingly maybe that if Matt left, you would walk out the door together. And of course, that's not going to happen. But my question to you is, certainly you don't feel at this point that you have failed, or are there things you feel you could have done? Just thinking everything was going peachy keen in that area with Matt.
Well, let me comment on my my interview with you. You know, when I did that was really taking a look at the things from the backside. I says, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But the reality of what Claire's talking about is when Matt made his agreement 3 years ago with us, he came to me one day and he says, you know, Jack, you can relax. I said, why should I relax? I've got all these problems, you know. And he says, no, I've signed my contract. I says, I didn't even know we were in negotiation for your contract. I said, was it due? And he says, yeah, I've signed it. He says, we're good for 3 more years. I said, well, let me tell you something. I said, if these guys won't do for you what you need, you let me know, and maybe you and I walk out the door together. And so now I hope nobody calls my bluff on that.
Certainly you don't. Do you feel like there's something you could have done to stop it from going?
If I had been as vigilant and as diligent and as interested in that side of the business as I am on finding why a fuel pump broke, or why a connecting rod bearing failed, or how we could get the next pound of downforce, if I had been taking care of the business side of the business as hard as I tried to take care of the technical side, I might have been able to stop that.
Let's go to Mark. Go ahead.
Mark Garrow, PRN, Jack. Over the years, you know, with Mark, you talk about Mark, Jeff, and Matt. You've developed really good relationships with them. How hard is it at a point like this to sort of divorce the personal from the professional side, because you guys develop relationships personally and professionally along the way?
Well, you know, Matt and I think everybody on the team I think the friendship part will survive. Certainly, I've not lost respect for Matt, and I hope he hasn't for me. I won't have the same sense of wishing for his success on the racetrack next year that I will for the balance of this year, and I have in the past. So he will become from my point of view, he'll be moving to the dark side. But we'll get through that. Personally, we'll be fine.
Let's go Reed, and we'll go to Lee. Go ahead, Reed.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Jack, are you confident at this point that sponsorship will be in place for Ricky next year? And what's likely to be the scenario in terms of crew chief for him? Will Mike Kelly move up with Ricky, or did Jimmy Finnick stay with the team?
Well, first of all, let me say that the primary focus of our sponsorship efforts had been around Matt and the 17 car. But the thing that the determination, the decision to run Matt and to run the 17 and to carry on as usual was not dependent on any level of sponsorship. It was, if no sponsorship was there at all, which of course was not, is not, and would not be the case, we would have run the 17 car for an indeterminate period of time. As far as crew chiefs are concerned, and by the way, the initial conversation we've had with sponsors is all positive in terms of their understanding of what's happened and their commitment to the programs. As far as crew chiefs are concerned and teams are concerned, the 17 is a championship level program, and I think for Ricky, who's the heir apparent to move into that, for him to have all the guidance and the expertise and the support that Jimmy Finnick and the guys can provide is essential. And you know, we will have a full-time nationwide program next year, and the plan is now for Trevor to be the driver for that program, although that's not been announced, and I'm not announcing it here today. That is our plan, and at the same thing, we've got a champion. We've got a championship level nationwide program in place with Mike Kelly, and my hope is to keep that together so that not only can we hopefully compete effectively toward a championship with Ricky this year with Mike, but be able to do the same thing with Trevor next year.
All right, we're going to go Lee, Joe, and we'll end with Doug. Go ahead, Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Do you want to keep the number 17, or would you go back to your flagship number 6 for Ricky Stenhouse? And also, why is it so difficult? I mean, I understand the economic conditions that we live in right now, but what makes it so difficult to sell a guy that's a NASCAR champion, has 2 Daytona 500s, numerous wins, very pleasant, you know, family background type of guy? Is it that he's 40-something? I mean, are sponsors today looking for something more youthful, or what seems to be, you know, the problem there?
I have a little trouble multitasking. What was your first question?
The 6.
Oh, the numbers on the 6. The 17, Jimmy Finnick and that group are the 17. And that group will run under the 17's banner. The 6 is a cornerstone that for the time being we've set aside, but I don't. Fact is, I haven't been told, so I'm really out on an edge here. I see Steve Newmark over there. He's not close enough to kick me or to whisper something in my ear. But to the best of my knowledge, the sponsors' interest that we have and the image for that team and that group is 17. And so I would expect that will continue. Although if a sponsor insisted on the 6, that would be an option, but I don't see that being a possibility. You know, the sponsorship business ebbs and flows. The economy certainly caught us in a bad position with all of our programs maturing and reaching termination right when the economy went in the tank or within a year after that. And so that put us in a bad situation. If we'd had, as we have had sometimes in the last 24 years, this is not the first economic downturn we've had. It is the worst one we've had. But the other times, happily, we were able to bridge those. We didn't have our agreements come to conclusion right when the future was not certain. So you know, it was bad timing. It was nobody's fault. It just worked out. And Matt has not been. I don't think the problem we've had with Matt would have been worse if Greg's situation had matured at the same time. We were happy to have folks with 3M that saw the future relationship being important, and they were able and willing to negotiate new contracts before the old ones were concluded, and so that was a happy situation there. But Matt is a champion, and certainly there has been interest. You know, we've got Fifth Third on board this year. We've got Best Buy on board this year, and just a number of other sponsors that I'm not able to mention because the conversations are ongoing for that team that were very interested in Matt. But you know, I guess I tend to differ that Matt has been a great challenge to sell sponsorship based on his image. I think that the challenges we had were predicated by caused by the economy and just the timing.
We're going to excuse Jack at this time. We've got to keep on our schedule, but I'm figuring if Jack maybe has a minute or two, he could ask answer a couple of questions. I know Doug Rice had one and Joe Menzer had one. Jack, we appreciate you coming in. Congratulations on being honored by Berea College, and good luck this weekend.